wanted to our communication certainly to the public, just giving details on things. We wanted to be able to get past the resolutions tonight, as well as finalize some of the things that we've been having, these discussions that we've been having with different individuals, and then to be able to put out an announcement to the public. One thing that we didn't want to do was just give you bits of information, and we weren't really grounded in anything. I don't want to say factual, but grounded in anything that were really happening. So we wanted to make sure. I think it's been a minute, and probably should have communicated a little earlier, but we've been waiting to really have great information. So what we're working on, we already have our announcement. It's pretty long, and we're going to finalize that, and we expect to have it out to everyone. Most of what you've heard tonight, pretty much, but we have to add a couple more details after we have a phone call tomorrow, and then we'll be able to give you that update. Is it relating to this? I promised I wasn't going to take questions.
No, I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. So that's the only report from communication and outreach. Okay. I'm sorry? Okay, then we're moving on. Nothing else on clean space and beautification, right, Connie? We're doing good with time.
Yeah. Well, we are working on the Village Green cleanup that we have every year project that we have every year involving the schools, Germantown Friends Schools, Mass Street Charter School, and Green Street Friends School. We're very anxious to be involved in it. Part of the day will include a environmental education workshop that will be provided by Keep Philadelphia Beautiful. And this year we're hoping to solicit donations from anyone who'd be interested in donating, not supplies because you give that to the city, but refreshments, water, coffee, tea, donuts, fruit.
Connie, can you say what the date is in case anybody's interested in volunteering?
Well, the city has not posted the date on their website yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually the second Saturday in.
First Saturday. It's first.
Yeah,
It was the second last year because of the snow.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's either the first or the second, but when I last looked, I didn't see the date. Maybe it's been updated. Okay.
Okay.
But we already have our request in to Keep Philadelphia Beautiful, so we know that's confirmed.
Okay, all right. We get in an hour, and we're gonna move to public. Anything from the board? Any comments? You were given cards, and we wanted to keep it orderly.
No, I didn't get a call.
Okay. Jill, you kind of had a question last. Connie, I think we answered your question. You have a statement? Okay, let me get, you were supposed to write something, but you had a question about.
Especially if you want us to follow up on something, please.
Okay,
Well, I'm gonna ask my question and then I'll email you.
okay,
If that's okay.
let's ask your question.
Thank you. So it's about communicating and getting the word out about these meetings and other special event meetings to solicit people's participation in this organization, which has been said to me personally that nobody comes out to these things. And one of the reasons is that we don't know about them until the very last minute. You have your website, which is great, and you do have a Facebook page, and maybe you post on it gets posted on the Facebook page, but then it doesn't get shared like to the broader Facebook pages or like next door, where other ways to get the word out about what GSSD is doing and solicit help and try to encourage people to come out to these meetings, business people and just neighbors and things like that.
Okay.
So there are the two Facebook pages, Living in Germantown, Changing Germantown, which are great repositories of information. Nextdoor is also a great place because that also expands to different neighborhoods that are not like right here in West Central and like in this particular area. And whenever I post things, I always ask people to let your neighbor know who's not on social media and bring a friend and that kind of thing, just a way to kind of build community and support for this organization.
Okay. So thank you, Jill. One thing to note, the meetings, so you're right, the responsibility of the organization is to post a meeting, which we do, and they have to be on the website. We voted on those dates, and they're on the site for, I guess, the whole year. So we'll have to adjust it because we're changing it, you know, to the evenings. And then we do have a Facebook page that we have to work out access issues with. Will be posted. I think it's also capacity, but just
I get
moving
it.
forward, we're hoping that when we're able to post on Facebook and post on the website, then those can get shared in other places. But I think those are good suggestions. Okay.
Just to add to that, also, you collect everybody's email address, but we never get notification. That could be used as a way of at least notifying the people who at one time were interested.
Including business and property owners.
Whoever's
Do
here.
you have any information? Do you have email addresses for
Some.
some?
We have some as well.
Everybody whose
Are we
email
gonna
address
use
is
cards?
We need an organized
Yes, we
database.
We are. We are.
Yes.
And we've asked the people to write down, and so we have to.
I don't have a card.
We'll get one.
Let's get the cards. I can read the cards tomorrow. Then we can.
So, I mean, feel free to raise your hand. The cards, if it's something detailed that you really want us to follow up on and you need a detailed answer, then yeah, please write it down so I can get back to you adequately. But
Well,
we're still doing
let's do
hands.
this. We're gonna go around.
Yeah.
This makes it easier to jump it around. Okay, you had a statement.
I showed Jamara's space that I have at 228 West Cheltenham this week,
Okay.
and then we were going to get back to each other about Rose Rent. It has a conference room that's about twice the size of this one, and then an adjoining office, and then like an entry area that has no range but a kitchen.
Yes, Jamar did mention.
So given the state of the current, or the current finances, I could just offer it free for 3 months. And if you guys would have the utilities put in your name, and then we could renegotiate if you're back on your feet and gradually work up. I mean, it's available for $1,200 a month, but it's not that I wouldn't like the rent, but I'm not gonna go under without it, so. Just making that offer.
Still work, it's high on my radar. But getting the delinquent notice invoices out was my priority for the last week. But it is on my radar, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just had a question around the organization's current source of funding. Like, is the organization primarily funded through a contract with the city or state or?
No, the majority of our funding, I would say in excess of 90%, is from the assessments that we are authorized to bill. And that's the primary source of funding, yes. We can compete for grants and other things, but the primary source of funding is the
I
assessments.
have a related question on my card.
The
second one?
Accounting.
No, it's the second one.
Oh, how can you accept contributions if you're,
Municipal authority.
so we can accept donations and financial contributions.
Jamar, sorry, I have to stick to the order.
If it's related,
It's related.
Up to you.
I didn't want to keep jumping back and
Yeah,
forth.
I know.
There's a serious legal issue here of the city requiring certain steps you have to go through to receive for anybody to make a contribution to the city. And I didn't know with being a municipal authority.
Well, we're not the city.
You're a municipal authority.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that, I was wondering, it's quasi-government, was wondering if you're not a 501c3.
No.
So I was wondering how you comport with that. Have you checked with the legal department to see if you can accept contributions?
We can answer that quickly.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that we have had some city legal staff folks talk to Jamar and Pia and at the emergency board sessions. And so, that was not raised as
That a
an
private
issue.
person can give money?
Right, it was not raised as an issue, but we should go back and just clarify, just to be certain.
I have a client that I'm going through an agreement right now.
Okay,
Who wants to
okay, yeah, that's a good
contribute.
point. We should
Okay.
just be absolutely clear.
The only issue is tax.
Yeah,
You
so
don't
we
get a
can
tax
accept
deduction.
donations, but you don't get a tax.
I know you don't get a tax deduction. I was talking about the city's requirement on accepting a contribution.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go around, and we're gonna just allow, because 8:30 will be the cutoff. Okay.
I have a few questions, but I promise they'll be quick. One is, and maybe it's more of a comment, we were talking about audit versus financial review, and it's my understanding that bids and SSDs need audits, not financial reviews. And I know you're absolutely right, they're not cheap, and I know other bids have tried to get out of it, and you can't. So I just make that as a comment that you might want to look into it further.
We'll definitely look into that.
I know you haven't complied either way, but.
Yeah, but
it
there
just-
has been external financial review into
Yeah.
the organization.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be clear about, but I'll look into that.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Nominations, and I know that you want to put board members on, great process. If and when the SSD is reauthorized, does the board shift at that point? Or does the board stay intact?
Can you be clear? There are some board members whose terms are expiring
Okay.
anyway, and so that's up for consideration. There are a couple of terms that are expiring. So when you say shift, you
I
mean?
think he's asking if it's contingent on reauthorization if there's a new board installed. Is that
That's
what you're saying?
correct.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
The board, okay, got it, thank you. Delinquent accounts, is it Lee Herman who is hired? That's who you're sending collections to? Yes. Okay. And just a comment that since I've done research into in-house trash collection versus contract, and there's a lot of good comments made, but in my research doing it, it's actually cheaper to do contract collections. I've done the numbers, I've talked to Ready, Willing, and Able. There's obviously reasons to go one way or the other. Connie brought up one, which is certainly true. But reason why a lot of bids do go in-house, just share this, gives you lots of flexibility. So if you decide one day, hey, we have a dumpster that needs to be cleaned, let's send our people over there. You can do that contract cleaning, not so easy. So I just share that.
But you can always supplement the contract with additional.
Oh, there's lots of models,
So
absolutely.
I'm just saying, it's good to have something that's consistent and that you can depend on.
We're gonna go
Where-
around. We're
Let
gonna
me ask
get,
that
we
question.
can't, we can't do, We're
Yeah.
gonna come around.
Good, thank you for your time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you have a question? No.
I have a question.
You're next anyway.
Yes.
Go- Can you step
Thank you.
forward, please?
Yes, my name is Linda White. My question is, what is your process, if you've changed it at all, for anybody to have complaints or issues with what the board has done? I have not seen anything about who to communicate with or how community members can do that, and what's your response to that?
Grievance as it relates to the board, when you say what the board has done, like what law?
In terms of communication about how to make complaints about the corridor or anything of that nature.
Oh, like the place is
Yes,
dirty
yes,
or, yes.
Yeah, our website, you can submit feedback through our website at any time.
You welcome
And
it?
absolutely.
Do you respond to it, more importantly? Do you respond to it?
I respond to all
But
of
you
you.
I
can-
got spanked for doing that once.
I'm not them.
No, okay.
Okay.
Want to make sure.
I'm not anybody that came before me.
Yeah.
You'll get a response.
And you can get, I'll give you my email also.
Yeah.
You can email me. I don't-
Yeah, yes, Sandy Smith, journalist, but attending right now is resident of the neighborhood, though some think I don't live in it. It's a question about Maplewood Mall. There may be a story out of this if I get an answer, but so what is being done to promote businesses located on the street during the construction period? Usually, when the street's torn up, it's very hard for people to get to the shops, and often businesses go out of business while waiting for the improvements to be made.
That is,
Isn't there a briefing coming up from
The
Matt
Commerce
Marshall on
Department
that?
has.
So I can say,
There's
as
a
a
planning-
business owner
I
on
think
the
that
mall,
there's a, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
But I think that there is a briefing that's scheduled with Commerce. Do you know what the data? I can't see.
they haven't given the date, but
Okay.
they did email all of the property owners on the mall, and they will be organizing a meeting to address that, as well as the pipe issue.
as of the last meeting, which was either late August, September, they said they were going to chat with the Commerce Department. They said they're going to have a big banner and an office on the mall. That being said, for the business, especially on this side of the mall, there was no plan yet for that. So we shall see.
But I think working with GSSD at a minimum, we can get some easel boards or something that can, direct traffic in and remind people that we're open, as is typically done.
I was just gonna say, there's not gonna be a start to the project until there's a plan in place. Like, you just can't do it.
Right.
The door open, it's really cold.
Yeah, the door.
Can I add to that?
Emily had some feedback to add to that.
Yeah, well, you haven't been at the joint meeting yet, because you just came on board, but the Commerce, this is Emily from Germantown United CDC. Commerce Department and the Planning Commission staff have been every couple of months meeting directly with Germantown United staff and GSSD staff together to talk about other ways that our organizations can support the existing businesses on the mall during this long reconstruction process. And marketing is one of the big things that's being discussed. There will be some additional resources for that. But again, now that things have shifted a little bit, we have to wait for that next follow-up meeting.
Okay. Next in the roll questions. Are you next?
I just had, I guess, two questions. One super quick. What are the term limits for current board members?
They are 5-year terms.
So if that's the case, I think there are more than
And 3 years.
up than just the current positions that are open. In my just looking on the website.
So there are 6 positions vacant as of now, and then we have 2 members whose terms just expired on January 1st.
Okay, cool.
So that makes it 8 seats open.
Cool. And the second thing, just being a business owner, coffee shop, hearing a lot about perception of this office. I just want to really second, third, fourth, fifth, the amount of accountability and transparency necessary to have perception shift, and perhaps getting emails, maybe working more with the GUCDC since they have seemingly more connections with businesses. At least again from what I hear from the several hundred people that we interact with. And yeah, just really just being as open and transparent as possible. But it sounds like that's kind of a part of the shift, which is awesome.
Critical part.
Yeah.
It's a major part. That's something that we're committed to. Absolutely doing.
And I guess last question: how is Keith Shank of Frenton Northwest being compensated?
Right now, it's through donations.
Okay.
So you're
board
looking for
member
donations?
Donations.
No?
People want to donate. We've all donated.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank
I was
you.
looking. I was thinking about the person standing behind you.
Okay, question?
I just have a quick question and clarification, and then a question. But first question, I think someone said everyone on the board are volunteers, and I was just curious if that includes the folks who are part of Councilwoman Bass's office. And the second question is, I'm not a property owner, and I'm curious what role the GSSD sees for folks who live in this district who do not own property.
Okay, I can answer some of that. I can, I'll answer the first part. I'm not a property, I do own a property in East Germantown, I forget about that. Yeah, so no, the members of the board are not paid to be on the board, yes. These 2 members do work for Councilwoman Bass, but in our role on the board, none of us are paid to serve on the
So
board.
they're like separate entities.
Totally.
Yes, yes, it's a-
There's no
yeah,
compensation
it's
to
no
myself for serving.
No. In fact, lately, we've been paying into the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. They've been chipping in.
We've been paying. And then, Jamal, I think you want to take a second.
But they're collecting a salary.
I'm sorry, what was your second
They're
question?
collecting a salary.
They're not paying for the service.
No, but they're collecting a salary while they're working for the board.
They're collecting a salary for whoever it is they work
Right,
for.
they're
They just
collecting
happen to be serving on
Right.
the board.
They're not
So
paid for
board
this
service is volunteer, just to be clear. And we're grateful for their time. Not a whole lot of people are running to jump on boards these days. There are fiduciary legal responsibilities to serving on the board. So we're we're always grateful for those willing to serve.
Great. My second question was just, what is the role for non-property?
The role for
owners?
non-property owners, it is it's showing up, it's caring, it's sitting on committees, it is helping out on the MLK Day cleanups, Philly Spring cleanup. It is volunteering your creative ideas for things you think we could do better and more efficiently.
Holding us accountable.
And holding us accountable.
Being present, we're open to it.
We need somebody with financial expertise. We need someone with legal expertise. Any legitimate talent and skill you bring to the table that can help us do things better. We always want your support.
Thank you.
Okay. Question, East Falls? Allison?
Allison, anything left?
Well, yeah, you have my cards, so I could have my
Okay,
cards.
let's see. Which
But also,
board members expire?
Yeah, I could also say the supplies for cleanup can be available 365 days of the year at the managing director's office on North American Street with an email or a fax of the request,
Charles is going to
requested supplies. Also, if you plan 3 weeks in advance, you can get the city to collect the trash on the curbside from any community cleanup. So of course the GSSD would be eligible for that, and you probably should schedule that regularly so that you can have them come regularly for a cleanup where you know you're going to have your bags at certain strategic locations.
That's what Mr. Shea has been
So that
doing
you
for us.
don't need this dumpster. But getting back to the dumpster, it doesn't seem that you have the funds. So why are you having a dumpster on a location which is attracting trash when you can't afford to pay for it? Why isn't it removed until such time as you can afford to pay for it and monitor it?
Because it's more cost prohibitive to have it removed and then to try to get it back than to keep it in place right now
How come
until we can pay the past due bill, and then they'll resume collection
Can it be
from
sealed?
that dumpster.
Well, your question is, so what Jamar answered earlier was, we're gonna pay attention to it to get it cleaned up. Okay, because I think that's the main issue, right? The fact that it's not being serviced and cleaned. So that's what we need to pay attention to.
Well, if it's not being used, it's
Attractive.
attractive nuisance.
It's
And it-
There is a way that we can.
And don't they
keep-
charge
You might be
you?
able to close
Don't
it
they
up.
charge you for keeping it on site while you're not using it? So I don't
They're not
understand
dumping it.
how
They're
it's.
not dumping it.
They're not emptying it right now.
So
There's
Jamal-
actually a lock on it. I went past there today.
There's a lock on it.
Mhm.
Okay, so we just have to clean it.
We just need to
Clean surroundings.
sweep up around.
Okay, so we'll pay attention to that.
And also at the previous meeting, I discussed that any dumpster on private property needs to be screened and enclosed, and that one is just sitting in the middle of the parking lot. So,
Thank you.
There-
We are aware of it.
do you have my card? So I can-
Delinquent proprietary Y public on OPA.
Yeah.
This was addressed at the last meeting. We can comment on information that is publicly
I'm
available.
sorry,
but
Jamar, what was that you just read?
The question is, I think,
The city collects money. The question is, the city collects money from assessments for taxes, and it's put on the website, and we can see anybody who has delinquent taxes because you can go to the OPA website and see it. So why is this any different? Since you're collecting taxes, people aren't paying, why shouldn't we be able to see that? And at the last meeting, I further asked why the addresses of the properties that are being assessed weren't listed on the website. And in fact, I went back and voila, they are. If you click on assessments, you see all the properties listed.
okay.
So
what's
can I just respond to that because for the minutes, the
So why
question
is it
that you
proprietary
asked,
if it's public?
Allison,
Let her
the
answer
question
your
that you asked was, who are the property owners, not what are their addresses? Which is different. Dennis Murphy responded, I think I have.
I clarified that by
Yeah.
saying that I was interested if we couldn't have the owners' names, just the addresses.
Okay, so what is the question now?
Yeah,
And
because-
Well, the question now is, why can't the people who are delinquent, you don't have to put their names, their addresses, but on the OPA website, you have the property owner, you have
We have
the
the whole thing.
whole thing, you have everything.
Delinquent, addresses of.
Thank you.
the-
It's not our.
No, but why,
It's not our responsibility to put people's information out there and embarrass them. If you choose to look up an individual property on the OPA website to find out information about them, then that is your personal prerogative.
well, I'm saying,
But it's
why
not
can't it
our
be available
place
on
to
the,
name and shame?
why can't it be available on the GSSD website?
Because we're saying it's not our place to name and shame.
But what,
Well,
That's a
before we
policy
move on to
decision,
the-
Al.
the policy, yeah.
You know, I would just say, you know, Allison, it's one thing if, you know, if Jamar calls me, I'm a property owner and I'm delinquent on my assessment. It's a totally another thing if you call me and say, Sandy, why are you paying your, you know,
I didn't
but you,
say that.
no, I'm not saying you did, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
say
it's
that
a
I was
completely
gonna call them
different
and ask them to pay
I
their
didn't say
bill.
you did, but I'm
But-
just saying
Not you.
that
It's a closer,
Yeah.
it's a closer relationship than
So, but I hear
the
you.
citywide thing.
So
Yeah.
what Dennis Murphy responded to when that question was asked, he said that, and I was grabbing it so I can read exactly what he said. I wrote it down because I think it's important, and I know Allison has raised this question several times. But what he said was, yeah, I do have it. Yeah, what he said was, that